Welcome, wrestling fans. Welcome to Curtain Jerkin. As always, I'm your host, Jacob Grondy, reporting for the Main Event Marks YouTube channel. You can also check me out on Spotify. However you're listening to my voice, I appreciate it. And I just wanted to talk to you guys about things I found interesting on Raw, things I found interesting on WWE NXT, and then I realized I haven't even talked to you guys about Windy City Riot yet from New Japan Pro Wrestling in Chicago. A lot of interesting things happened there as far as maybe like ticket sales in comparison to AEW and results on the show. But let's kick things off with the things that I found most noteworthy of Monday Night Raw. Rhea Ripley injured. She got injured last week during the Liv Morgan attack, apparently. So she is out on Raw, relinquishing her title, which sucks because, they gave her that title for a year. She won it at WrestleMania. She just defended it at WrestleMania. And here it goes off on a whimper because Liv Morgan attacked her, which I think that was kind of just a holdover program to get, the draft situated correctly and everything like that. So now the title is vacant. And I don't know if they know what they're going to do with it yet. Hopefully they figure it out in France. I think that would be kind of cool. Liv comes out. They have to be held back by officials. The promo that Rhea Ripley cut was really good. The promo in the back that Liv Morgan cut left a lot to be desired, but she did make a good point here as far as like what her character is supposed to say, whereas Rhea injured her for 8 months and no one cared as much as when she injured Rhea. So, I feel like there's a heel turn coming, and a justified heel turn, because people didn't give a fuck about her as much as they give a fuck about Rhea. And Rhea, obviously has like the leg up. Not just the leg up when she's doing that big stomp on the ramp. She's got a leg up in this situation. She's a bigger girl. She's got Judgment Day behind her back. So in storyline, this fits for someone to have a gripe of, which that is the perfect way to make a heel. It's something that's legitimate gripe, but then gets taken out of control, taken out of context. Sheamus is back, wrestling Ivar. He hits the new move, the kneecap. I think this is supposed to be like a play on words of no cap or something like that, but it doesn't really land with me. He then hits his old move, the bro kick, and get the victory against Ivar, the workhorse of Raw. New tag team titles, not champions, but titles. They look better than the old ones, and they're not the Raw tag team titles anymore. They are the World Tag Team titles. Truth is marking out over getting these titles, and I would be too. I mean, you won these shitty looking ones, and now you get these prestigious looking ones. I would be marking out as well. Cody out there with main event Jey Uso. Cody wants to help him against Judgment Day, but Jey says he doesn't need him, and they say, till we yeet again, which that popped me. Funny little line there. All was good, but it got great at the end, I would say. Sami Zayn versus Chad Gable. Sami takes us through the crowd, through the concourse of the arena, and then into the proper arena, the bowl of the arena, as they say, through the crowd. Match starts. This match had no right to be this good. This was Mania worthy for sure. Gable working the leg. Sami going for a sharpshooter in Canada, but can't lock it in due to the damage done on that leg. Gable applies the ankle lock. Sami breaks free, lands an exploder, bleeding from the head, lands a haluva kick. 1, 2, 3. The champ retains in Montreal. Everyone's celebrating, including Sami Zayn's wife, except Chad Gable. He's in tears in the corner. Sami pulls him up, but then sore loser of the year, bitch ass of the year, attacking Sami Zayn, locking in an ankle lock through the ring post as Raw goes off the air. What a little bitch move from Chad Gable, attacking the man at the end of the match. But like I said with Liv Morgan, legitimate gripe here. He helped train this guy. He helped get him this world title, but yet he can't help get him this Intercontinental title, but he can't get this Intercontinental title off of him to himself after he did all he could to put it on him. But then, of course, it's taken out of context. You don't attack a man in front of his family like that on Raw. So, of course, it's a legitimate gripe taken out of context, and it's a good heel turn. It's a good heel turn. Jumping over to WWE NXT, some stuff that I liked about this that I want to talk about. Joaquin Wilde versus Ridge Holland. Didn't Ridge Holland retire like 3 weeks ago? What happened with that? Ridge looking like the Russian guy from Street Fighter, getting the win. Glad he didn't retire. I like Rich. I interviewed him when he was an indie wrestler turned, professional rugby player turned indie wrestler back in the day, Luke Menzies. And so I've always had a soft spot for this guy. I remember talking with him, and he had to go outside because his small house that he had told me was full of animals and kids, and that Triple H said that he liked them, but to kind of give him a little shine, a little bit, do some more matches. And then he eventually ended up on NXT UK, then NXT, and then made it to SmackDown. So I just have a soft spot for the guy. And he gets the win here. The family upset that they didn't get the job done around WrestleMania weekend. The No Quarter Catch crew come out, and they allege that the Don took care of Gulak for them, but they obviously didn't want that to become public. So it turns into a brawl between the two factions. I'm excited about this rivalry here. I hate that they had to let Drew Gulak go, but I do like how they explained it on TV here. I just like the fact that this mob is just taking out wrestlers that just get fired or get let go in storyline. So it kind of makes everything make sense, ties up loose ends to people just not being on the show anymore. The champ, Dragunov, issued a challenge to the back. Lexis King comes out, but he gets stopped. Who did he piss off? Because I feel like he was a big part of NXT for a few months, and then all of a sudden, after the Obafemi match, they were done with him. So I don't know what happened here, what he did, but he didn't really seem like he didn't get a pop when he ran out. So I think fans already don't really see him as a big deal anymore, and that's just pretty interesting. But that wasn't the main takeaway of this segment. Javon Evans jumps over the champ to get into the ring to answer the challenge. This is kind of cool. Javon Evans, of course, from my area, like I say almost every time, so it's cool to see him wrestle. Much like Ridge Holland, got a soft spot for this guy, mark out for this guy, but he gets hit with a torpedo. 1, 2, 3. Champ wins quickly. Still pretty cool to see him out there, though. Ivar, double duty, wrestling on Raw, and then pops up again on NXT, getting ready for Obafemi, going up against Josh Briggs, who had his best match of his career during WrestleMania weekend. Sloppiest boss man slam ever. Ivar from Josh Briggs. Ivar then is able to land a moonsault. Rarely able to land this moonsault. Goes for it all the time. 1, 2, 3. He gets the win on NXT. Fun show, but just like Raw, it got better. It got real. It got good. During the main event, Carmelo Hayes, Trick Williams in a steel cage. Melo brings in a billy club, as Booker calls it. Trick in trouble. He has a title match next week, and looks like Melo is softening him up here, bouncing him against the steel structure. NXT though believes in Trick Williams. Channing whoop that Trick. Trick starts firing back. Both men battle up top. Trick able to end on his feet, hitting a kick. Melo's security tries to come in, tries to intervene. Trick fights him off, and then hits the trick shot to Melo, holding a chair, kind of like a Van Daminator, and beats Carmelo Hayes 1, 2, 3. There's a lot of talk about Dragunov getting called to the main roster, and with that being understood, with the draft coming up and everything, it makes sense that you would put the title on Trick Williams. He seems to be the most popular guy, but I think he's so popular that I would just have him bypass the NXT title and go right to SmackDown. I would not hold him off any longer. I think he's ready, and I think a guy like Dragunov would kind of, not... without the title, I think he would get lost on the NXT or the WWE main roster. I mean, he wrestled Shinsuke Nakamura the Raw after Mania. I think that was apropos. A guy who would have a great entrance, a guy that the hardcore fans love, a guy that's, charismatically, oddly charismatic enough to gain the interest from casual fans, but I don't think they'd pull the trigger with him as much as they would pull the trigger with him in NXT. So I think having Dragunov beat Trick, and then Trick going up, and then having Dragunov retain the title and stay in NXT is probably best as far as a fan watching both shows, either SmackDown, Raw, or NXT. I think that's the best for both guys, and I'm fans of both guys. But who knows what's going to happen? I mean, I surely don't. That was NXT, but over the weekend, New Japan Pro Wrestling had a show in Chicago, drawing 6,000 people. That is a lot more than AEW typically draws nowadays for their weekly programming. I think they're doing like 3,000 to 4,000. So I think that AEW, with the Forbidden Door and everything, making a big deal of any Japanese star coming out, is helping New Japan sell tickets, because 2018, 2019, New Japan had a hard time selling tickets. They were, I think, in California and in Texas at the time, they were drawing like, 1 to 3,000. Here they do 6,000 in a 10,000 seater. That's good. That's what AEW used to do. So I think AEW is kind of giving the rub to New Japan, and New Japan really isn't giving that rub back to AEW as far as weekly attendance for these matches, these shows. But let's run down this card. Matt Vandergriff defeated Zane J. Who cares? Trish Adora and Alex Windsor. So hell yeah, Trish Adora. They beat Mina Shakira and Viva Van. Rin Narita beats Minoru Suzuki. Stephanie Vaquer beats Azumi. That's interesting. Azumi she's a big star in Stardom, I assume, and here she is losing. Shane Hayes, Mikey Nichols beat Fred Rosser, and Tom Lawler, the West Coast Wrecking Crew, and Guerrillas of Destiny, which is El Phantasmo and Hikuleo at this point. And so now they're the strong openweight tag team champions, TMDK. But I really kind of want to talk about this match coming up here. Shota Umino beats Jack Perry by pinfall. Jack Perry, of course, the subject of a lot of debate in the wrestling world after Dynamite last week, showing the footage of CM Punk pushing him, choking him out in front of Tony Khan in the back of All In. And, the Chicago crowd, they're having fun. They're booing him. Some are cheering him. He comes out with a SWAT team, which was an old thing that, Cody Rhodes kind of brought back to modern wrestling, coming out with the police. It gets you heat, and I don't think people realize that it's a work yet, so I think people might think that was kind of maybe real or something like that. And then he loses, and he just jumps up and just starts high-fiving the fans, going to the back, doesn't really care, doesn't really sell that he's losing. So I think that Jack Perry is going to come back to AEW television. Good win for Shota. Mustafa Ali versus Hiromu Takahashi. This match was great. Mustafa Ali gets the victory. And then you have Bullet Club, David Finlay, Kenta, Clark Connors, and Gabe Kidd. All those guys other than Gabe Kidd were not announced. It was supposed to be like Team Gabe Kidd versus Team Eddie Kingston. And Eddie Kingston brings out Homicide, Jeff Cobb, and TJP. Bullet Club get the victory here. And this is just kind of continuing the feud between Gabe Kidd and Eddie Kingston. Zack Sabre Jr. defeated Matt Riddle to win his television title back. I'm a fan of Matt Riddle, but this came abruptly here. I thought that Matt Riddle just beat Tanahashi. Zack Sabre Jr. is who lost to Tanahashi in the Dome a few months ago. So I'm not really sure what's going on here. Hot-shotting this new title isn't good for the title, and it makes me think that Matt Riddle might be kind of done with New Japan as well, because he wasn't selling this loss either. Nick Nemeth, though, keeps his championship alive, beating Tomohiro Ishii, and Jon Moxley defeats Naito, winning the IWGP World Heavyweight Championship. Man, I think this is a mistake. I think that Naito should have held this title. He, of course, won it in the Dome, and I think he could have held it because I think there's a lot more stories you can tell with Naito, and plus Naito is going to be, I think, in a lot more matches and a lot more shows than Jon Moxley will be in, of course, going back and forth between AEW and New Japan. Of course, you'd have that New Japan title on AEW television, but you got a lot of titles on AEW television, and AEW television definitely doesn't give the rub to Ring of Honor titles like it should. And we've seen the Impact title wrestled on AEW. You never really saw that rub. And we've also seen the NWA title, women's, on AEW television, and none of these promotions really get that rub like you would expect. Also, you have Naito Sonata versus the former champ. There's a history there. There's a history with him and Evil. There's a history with him and the up-and-comer Tsuji that you kind of want to see get that rub. So I think this Jon Moxley title win was not what I would do, but you know what? I'm interested to see where it goes. I hope you guys enjoy this. Let me know what you think about the Jon Moxley title win below, or hit me up. You can just call me at, no, I'm not going to give you my number here, guys. Fly high. I'm out.